Okay, so welcome everybody. This is the part 4 of this 4-part webinar on actualizing authentic happiness with Rabbi Cohen. And I just want you to know, and Rabbi Cohen, I want you to understand that I've been getting tons of feedback. People are writing me often questions, comments, so appreciative of what they're hearing from you, really working on it. And I get a sense that people want more. So on that note, I just want to let everybody know that while we're concluding this particular topic this week, we're probably going to do something fun next week, meaning something recreational. We might come up with an escape room event for next week. And then the 2 weeks after that, we're inviting Rabbi Jamie and Ilana Cowland to come in and do something called a deeper look at relationships and dating, which we think they have a lot to say on the topic, and we think it's something that's perhaps on people's minds a little bit, even if it's Zoom dating. So we're going to do that for a few weeks, and in the interim, Rabbi Cohen and I are going to start planning a topic for when we resume after the Calend's few weeks of a webinar as well. So just know we have a lot to look forward to, and as long as we are in lockdown, we are going to try and nurture your neshama and your brain and your heart as much as we can. Without further ado, Rabbi, all yours.
Thanks. That sounds so good. All right, here we go. Here we go. So just to summarize what we did in the last 3 weeks, because this week we're doing something completely different. We said that people want to be happy, and people don't know how to be happy. And it's because what we believe is going to make us happy is getting what we want. And if I get the car I want, and the job I want, and the body I want, and the boy or girlfriend I want, and everything I want, then that will make me happy. But that never makes you happy because you can't get everything you want. And even once you get everything you want, if your mindset is always about, I need more, then you're never going to be happy. Because even if you get what you want, it will only make you a little bit happier for a little bit. And it completely depends on your external circumstances, which are not in your control, as you can tell by your external circumstances at the moment. So we agreed, and when I say we agreed, I said that the key to real happiness is positive attitude. Positive attitude, and what does positive attitude mean? It means that I focus on the good and I grow from the bad. So let's say you're going into lockdown. That's, on the surface level, that's bad. So I can't go to my job, I can't see my friends, I can't see, there's many bad things. Now we can focus on those bad things, and I'm not saying they don't exist, they do exist. But what I'm saying is you can't choose your external circumstance, but you can choose how you're going to let that affect you. You're going to choose what you do with that. So we've been working on our attitude. So for example, we have gratitude. Well, that was one of our shifts. So we focus on what we do have, not what we don't have. So I don't get to see my friends face to face anymore for a little bit, but hopefully I'll use this opportunity to reconnect to some friends that I haven't spoken to for a long time, who are probably also in a similar situation. Whatever it is, we're going to look for the best in everything. So we said that the 6 positive attitude shifts are a positive attitude towards yourself. You have good self-respect, self-esteem. Once again, not based on the external world and recognition from other people, but based on self-recognition for good things. For example, having good character traits and trying to do the right thing. Then we said there's gratitude, focusing on what I do have, not what I lack, on what I lack. And we said becoming a giver rather than a taker. How can I be there for other people? By the way, this is an unbelievable opportunity to do that. If people are in lockdown, you can really think about the people who are worse off than you financially, or old people on their own. And I think I mentioned last week, I have a student in England who's made a spreadsheet of people who are old and on their own. And he's got a list of volunteers who phone once or twice a day and bring shopping around and do stuff for them, do whatever you can for them. So this is a huge opportunity for chesed. Rather than being kind of a victim, you can choose, I'm going to make something. I'm going to make something of it. I'm going to take my challenging situation and I'm going to make something of it. The next positive attitude shift was not worrying. Don't worry so much, because worrying doesn't actually help. It doesn't get where you want to go. So rather than worrying, we have to tell ourselves it's going to be okay. I can deal with whatever happens, which connects us to the next positive attitude shift, which is be a fighter, be a solution seeker. Don't give up. Don't be a victim. You choose how to grow from everything difficult in your life. And we said the final And the key, most important attitude shift, according to Judaism, and if you have this, you have everything, is called emunah. And emunah is that everything that's happening to me in my life, however difficult it may sound and seem, is actually somehow for my best. Now, you could just have this positive attitude shift and be an atheist. An atheist could say, I don't believe it is for the best, but I'm going to make the most out of it. So that's good. That's a good attitude. They might be happy. But Judaism says, no, there's actually a reality. There's a reality that there's a divine creator who knows what's best for us and gives us everything that's best for us, even if it's a challenge. And often, by the way, in our lives, our challenges are the best things for us. You only grow from your challenges. So once you understand this challenge isn't just a random event, an act of nature, is actually put there in my life very specifically for a very specific person, which is to make me great. I want to live a great life. I don't want to live a mediocre life. So that was the attitude shifts. And if we can really try and tap into them consciously, you're going to have a much better experience of existence. So this week I'm going to talk about something completely different. Still with the same goal in mind, which is living a life of deep, vital contentment, vitality and contentment and fulfillment in life. How do you get that? And the answer is, and this is the whole key for this week, is if you're living a successful and meaningful life, if you have a successful and meaningful life, then you will be happy and fulfilled. You will have vitality. So we've got to work out, what does that mean? What does it mean to be successful, and what makes something meaningful? So let's start defining our terms. Remember, we always do this. We've got to define our terms. So how do you define success? So success, some people might say success is money, or success is, so the Oxford English Dictionary says the definition of success in life is to achieve an aim, a purpose, or a goal. Achieve your aim or purpose or a goal. So if you do that, then you're successful. So the first thing we need to do in our lives, if you want to live a powerful life of vitality, is have a goal. What are you actually living for? What are you getting up for in the morning? And by the way, you're in isolation or going there now. If that depends on your external world and your business and your stuff, that might be being prevented from doing that now. So you've got to work out, no, what's it all for? What's the actual purpose of everything I do? I'm living for my business. You're not living for your business. You're living for what your business can give you, which is a sense of achievement and a sense of power and money. But you're also not living for money. No one wants money. You want what you think money can get you, which is nice things. But you're also not living for your nice things. Nice things are just making your life a little more pleasant. So you've got to work out for yourself, what am I actually living for? What's the point? And some people only do this when they're like 52 years old and they have a midlife crisis. And like, what have I been doing? Why am I schlepping to work and collecting my kids from football practice? And what's it all for? What's it about? So this sounds like a very kind of philosophical question. What's it all about? But it's a very, very important question to ask. You've got to know for yourself, what's the point? And if you don't feel that there is a point, that brings it upon depression. And if you know that there's a goal and a purpose, then it's going to bring vitality. Someone said to me the other day, you seem to have a lot of vital energy. Why is that? And I said, because I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm living for. And I can do it at every second. And it doesn't rely on the external world. I know where I want to get. I've got a very clear goal in mind. So life is very simple. It's broken down into 3 steps. What is the goal? How do you get there? What are the steps you need to take to achieve that goal? And the last step is do those things. There you go. That's your whole life. Work out what's your goal. And by the way, let's say your goal is to be happy. So we said, fine, what are the steps to being happy? Well, it's to develop a positive attitude. Okay, so what are the steps I need to develop a positive attitude, understand what that means, and then have the discipline to implement that in my life. Those are the 3 steps in anything in your life. If you want to get rid of impatience, that's a good goal. Get rid of impatience. I like that. That's a good goal. But how do you do that? If you don't know how to do it, you're not going to be able to do it. So first you've got to work out what are the steps, and then you've got to go there. So Oxford English Dictionary. Success means to achieve an aim, a purpose, or a goal. So according to the Oxford English Dictionary, if my whole purpose and my aim and my goal in life is to beat up old women and steal their money. And I do that really well. And I beat up loads and loads of old women and I become a millionaire. Did I have a successful life? Did I have a successful life? So the answer is, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, I did. If that's what my life goal was, then I had a successful life. So obviously that doesn't feel right to us. It doesn't feel right because we know that there's something deeper than an aim, a purpose, or a goal. The Jewish definition of success is a successful life is not achieving an aim, a purpose, or a goal. It's just one word different. Is achieving the aim, the purpose, the goal of life. To the extent that you achieve the purpose, you were successful. So this is our definition of success. If you say he's a successful businessman, what does that mean? That means he made lots of money selling cars. So his goal was to sell as many cars as I can and to make money doing that. So to the extent that he's done that, that's the purpose of the business. So then he's a success. A successful sports person. What's a successful sports person? Someone who's reached the top of the sport, scores the most goals, makes lots of money playing sport. So to the extent that he achieved the purpose of the sport, which is to get the ball in the net or to hit the ball over the boundary. It's good talking to South Africans, you know what cricket is. So to the extent that you achieve the purpose of the sport and make money, you are successful. What about an operation? If you go for an operation, how do you say something's a successful operation? Well, to the extent that you reach the purpose of the operation, then the operation is successful. So we now have a definition of success, which is to the extent that you reach the purpose, you are successful. That's it. If you're playing a game, if you're doing an escape room, what's the purpose of the escape room? To get out of the escape room. To the extent that you do that, you are successful. So this is very, 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 very clear. To the extent that you achieve the purpose of something, you are successful in that area. So you have to ask yourself, what is the purpose? What's the purpose of life? Because you can't be successful if you don't understand what the purpose is. So one of my favorite stories is about an Israeli mountain climber called Nadav Ben Yehuda. Nadav Ben Yehuda. So he was going to be the youngest ever Israeli to summit Mount Everest. Yeah, I think he was 24 years old. This was on May the 16th, 2012. May 16th, 2012. So he's at Base Camp 4, Mount Everest, Base Camp 4. And from Base Camp 4, you can see the top of Mount Everest. It's about 250 meters away, which takes many, many hours to walk. There's no oxygen at the top of Mount Everest. And he trained his whole life to summit Mount Everest. I went to the base camp of Annapurna. It's also in Nepal. And Annapurna is the most dangerous mountain in the world to climb. 37% of people who try to summit Annapurna die. Most of them on the way down. And Everest, a high percentage of people die on the way down, on the way up, but more people die on the way down than on the way up. So it takes many years of training to climb Mount Everest, and he was going to be the youngest ever Israeli, and it costs a lot of money. You have to pay for Sherpas. They're the guys who schlep your bags. That's why they're called Sherpas. I made that up. And you got to pay for permits, and it's a big investment. So his whole goal, reach the top of Mount Everest, youngest ever Israeli. So he's there, May 16th, 2012, with 5 other climbers, and they're in this tent. And the 5 other climbers say, we're going to make our summit attempt now. And Nadav says, I'm not coming now. It doesn't seem right. Something doesn't seem right. The weather, or there are too many people on the trail, is very dangerous. I'm not coming with you. I'm going to wait for my summit attempt, all my dreams. 250 meters away, all his dreams. So he waits for however many hours, 10 to 12 hours. And he leaves the tent, and literally like 20 meters outside his tent, he sees one of the people that he was climbing with had died. There was a freak storm or something, he died. Carried on walking a bit, he saw another one dead, another one dead. Basically, 4 out of the 5 people had died. Now he's about 170 meters from the top of Mount Everest, and he sees the last guy. It's this Turkish, I've forgotten his name. Anyway, 46-year-old Turkish guy, and he's not quite dead. He's kind of in and out of consciousness, but he's half buried in snow, and he's a mess, and there's no way you can save this guy. And on Mount Everest, you're not expected to save people. It's dangerous enough getting yourself down. If he leaves that guy there and he came down and told the story, no one would blame him in the climbing community, because you can't save people. It's hard enough to get yourself down. So by the way, if you die near the top of Mount Everest, you stay there, because helicopters can't go up there because there's such thin air. So there are many, many bodies lying around Mount Everest. So he left him there, but then he walked it on a little bit, and then he said, you know what, I can't leave this guy here. I just can't do it. So he looks up, he's got 150 meters to his whole dream, his whole purpose, his whole goal in life. And then he's got this 46-year-old Turkish guy that he just met, and he's like, I'm not leaving him here. So he went and tried to tie him onto his back, and he couldn't, because he had these big gloves on. So he took his gloves off. Bad thing to do on the top of Mount Everest. His middle 3 fingers of his right hand went black, immediately got frostbite, and can't really use his hand anymore. But he ties this guy on his back, walks back down the mountain for 8 hours to base camp 2, and saves this guy's life. Unbelievable. It was in the Israeli and the Turkish newspapers. It was very good for Israel-Turkey relations for about 20 minutes. And there you go. Never made it to the top of Mount Everest. Nadab ben Yehuda, success or failure? What would you say? A success or a failure? Did he achieve his goal, his aim, his purpose? Did he achieve it? So, would anyone like to maybe share what they think? Let's open it up. How about that? You got one minute.
I'll say something.
Go on.
I would say
Hello? Sorry, I think we lost you. I lost you anyway. Okay, can everyone still hear me?
Yes.
Fine. So when you come back, I'll listen to you. But just for now. So the truth is, Oxford English Dictionary, he didn't achieve his purpose. But one may say that he developed a new goal, a new purpose, which was more important to him. Or you might say that he always had this more important thing, but it was only called upon now. So what was his motivating factor? What was his motivating factor for doing what he did? What was his real goal in life? And this is a very big answer, and we've all got to live with it. What's the goal of life in a very general way? The goal of life is to do the right thing. How about that? To do the right thing. I want to do the right thing. As long as I spend my whole life doing the right thing, I will have had a successful life. This is how I'm going to define success. Success is to the extent that you did the right thing, you were successful. That's it. And it doesn't mean happiness. By the way, I believe that happiness is a result of doing the right thing. Maybe not an immediate result, but if you can go to bed at night and think to yourself, I did the right thing today. I said the right things, and I thought the right things, and I did the right things. I'm proud of myself. It's going to give you a deep sense of fulfillment and vitality. And that's a driving factor in my life. And for most people, what motivates them in their life is one of two things. Either is to get pleasure. I'm wearing these clothes, I'm seeing this person, I'm going to this class, and whatever I'm doing in my life, one motivating factor is because I think it's going to give me pleasure. And the other motivating factor is basically the same, which is because I want to avoid pain. So I take my medication, I collect my kids from school, and I go to that meeting, not because I want to, but because there's consequences if I don't. Obviously, I do want to collect my kids from school. Just a little bit later, maybe. So fine. So everything you do in your life, you must understand this very clear. Everything you do in your life is for one of two reasons. It's to avoid pain. And this is not necessarily conscious, but what I'm trying to do is I want you to make it conscious. It's to avoid pain or to get pleasure. Judaism teaches that shouldn't be your motivation. Tzedek, tzedek tirdav. we say, which is do the right thing. Your motivating factor in your life is what is the right thing to do, and then I'm just going to do it. Doesn't matter if I get pleasure. Doesn't matter if it's going to cause me pain. I'm going to do what I know to be the right thing. And that's very empowering. It's deeply empowering. And that's what I'm using as my motivating factor all the time. So now you have to ask yourself, well, what's the right thing? What is the right thing to do? I like this. This is such a beautiful idea. I want to do the right thing, but I have no idea what the right thing is. So that's good. So let's try and work that out. What are we meant to be achieving? We're going to not be here forever, you know? We're not going to be around forever. What are you meant to have achieved before you die? So I'm going to give you the answer now to the whole purpose of life. How about that? I did philosophy at university, and I spent 6 years traveling Asia, and I've spent 12 years in yeshiva. Every single sane person that I've ever met, Buddhist, Muslim, Hindu, Jew, Christian, even an atheist who doesn't believe that there's a purpose of life. If there's no God, by the way, there is no purpose to life. You can make life meaningful and purposeful. You can set up an orphanage and have a nice family. You can give it meaning, but intrinsically there is no meaning. If the universe wasn't created for something with a purpose in mind, then there is no purpose. So atheists never speak about purpose, by the way. I've spoken to many of them. It's my favorite sport, speaking to atheists. But they can't speak about purpose because there is no purpose. If there's no life after death, by the way, that's even more so. There's no consequences. There's no purpose. You just do your best. Even they would agree on the two very general basic purposes, what you should be achieving in your life. Anyone want to have a pop at this, the two things that you're meant to be doing with your life, according to basically everyone on the planet, apart from some weird cult, Satan weirdos. Anyone? Two things you're meant to be achieving. And by the way, if you achieve them, you will be happy. The result of achieving these two things will give you true joy and fulfillment and vitality and purpose. Okay, Kayla, leave it in a better state than how it was when you were born. I'll say I'll have that. That's one. And another one. You can put it on the chat, anyone? Growth, great, Emma and Kayla, I'm with you. Growth and contribution. Improve yourself and improve the world. Reach your potential, help others reach their potential. Improve yourself, improve the world, perfect yourself, perfect the world. Be good and do good. They're all saying the same thing. Everyone believes it. You're here to reach your potential as a human being. And we spoke about this in your definition of self. If you say I'm trying to improve myself, that doesn't mean your car or your clothes or your body or your house or your tennis backswing. That's not improving yourself. It just says I am muted by the host.
I'm so sorry. I'm trying to undo it. You beat me to it.
Yes, I was like, uh-oh, the host does it.
I'm happy with everything you're saying. Don't worry.
Thank you. But it's good to have that power, I see, host.
Yeah, I feel it.
So, everyone agrees you got to work on yourself. You got to become the best person you can be. So we really said there are 4 levels of being. There are 4 levels of who you are. There's the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. That's who you are. You want to improve yourself. You want to be physically healthy, and you want to be emotionally balanced, and you want to be mentally strong, and you want to be spiritually connected and spiritually aware. Really, that's where you want to be in your life. And I'm telling you that if you do this, you will be happy. You will be happy. If you're emotionally balanced and mentally strong and spiritually connected, you're going to be a deeply happy person living with vitality and joy and connection and love and sweetness. So growth is very, very, very deeply, not just deeply important as another, I'm also growing. I've got my business and my relationships, and I also go to a yoga lesson once a week, and I go to therapy once a week. That's very sweet, but it's got to be the other way around. It has to be the central goal of your whole existence. It can't be a side thing that you're doing as a luxury whilst you're running your business. It is what you're living for. Everything really, if you think about it, is created to be the best it can be. There's no point. If it can't be the best it can be, no one creates something to be okay. So you're created to become the best you can become, and that means to fix your character traits. Fix your character traits, which means if you have any jealousy, doubt, fear, anxiety, arrogance, guilt, regret, hatred, you got to work on those things. That's what you're here for. Judaism really teaches that the whole life on this planet is that test. It's the test of, can you overcome parts of your nature that aren't healthy for you, that aren't connecting you to your purpose. So some people say, you know what, this is just who I am. I'm just an impatient person. That's just who I am. And Judaism says, no, that's not who you are. You're a soul. You've been given an impatient nature in order for you to overcome it, to become stronger and to become greater, to change your nature. It's an amazing idea. You're going to change it. And by the way, this is the whole leaving Egypt. How did we leave Egypt, which was slavery to our egos, basically? The sea had to split. The sea changed its nature from water to dry land. That's the only way we could make it out of this state of limitation. The word for Egypt is Mitzrayim, which comes from the word limitations. So you can only leave your limitations by changing your nature completely. So thank God we've done the positive attitude shifts, because you can't do this work unless you feel good about yourself first. If you don't feel good about yourself, to then start looking into your negative character traits is going to be a nightmare. You have to look at what's good about yourself and feel good about yourself in general. I'm basically a nice person trying to do my best. And I also have some impatience, arrogance, and anger, and hatred, and jealousy, and doubt, and low self-esteem, and fear, and regret, and guilt, and all this stuff. And okay, so I'll work on it. I'm going to work on those things. Don't let those things get you down. You should be very excited. That's what you're here for. You're here to fix yourself and fix the world. That's what you're living for. And that's why it's an amazing thing, by the way, because you can do this when you're in isolation. You can do this when you're waiting for a bus. You got to understand that this whole 4-part series, basically I'm saying, forget the external world. Forget the external world as being the source of your happiness. The source of your happiness comes from your internal world, your attitude to life, and you're working on yourself and having a deeper purpose in life, which is I'm going to become the best person I can. Now listen to this. Let's say you worked on yourself so much that you actually managed to let go of all hatred, fear, doubt, jealousy, anger, guilt, low self-esteem, arrogance, envy, worry. You really did that. How would you feel? You don't have any negative characteristics. You only have love, compassion, joy, excitement, passion, vitality. You'd feel happy, happy, woohoo, happy, happy. I'm going to say something to you which might sound a bit harsh, but the only reason you're not happy is because of your own negative character traits. Don't say that, Rabbi. You don't understand me. I'm the victim here. Isn't. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying we should have energy healing and therapy and medication if we need. That's fine. But at some point, you can work on yourself to such an extent that no one can make you feel bad. So some people say, you don't understand. It's my boss. It's not my character traits. It's my boss is really horrible. I hear that. That might be true. But if you had more patience, you'd be able to deal with a horrible boss. So you work on you can't change your boss. You're right. Or if you can change your boss, change your boss. If you can't, then work on your patience. Or work on your emunah to say, well, I can't change my boss, but this must be the best for me somehow. So, and this is what Judaism teaches. Judaism teaches that your essential nature is happy. You are happy. You're a soul. Souls are connected and happy. And the only thing that is cutting you off from that reality is your own negative character traits. So work on that. Work on yourself. And by the way, if you don't consciously do this, it's not happening. You're not going to suddenly develop into a patient person. If you're an impatient 17-year-old, you're going to be an impatient 70-year-old, even more impatient, because you've been practicing impatience for an extra 53 years. Well done. Now, you get very good at whatever you practice. So if you practice seeing the negative in everything, you'll get very good at that, and you can be in the best possible situation, and you'll find something bad. If you practice seeing the good in everything, then you're going to get very good at finding the good in a bad situation. So work on yourself to be a person who has a positive attitude. This is how it all fits in, by the way. That's why we started with talking about positive attitude. But this is not just a nice thing in order to be happy. This is the whole purpose. This is why you're in the world. It's called tikkun atzmi, fixing yourself, or tikkun hamidot, fixing your character traits. That's what you're here for. It says in the Gemara that Hashem says, I'm going to create you. You're going to go into the world. But on the condition, you've got to be a tzaddik and not a rasha. Choose to be a good person, not a bad person. That's it. That's basically your purpose in life. Be good, don't be bad. And it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. But you got to work on yourself, work on yourself, work on yourself, work on yourself. And I love this idea, because there's not 1 second of the day that you can't be doing this. And there's not one external. In fact, the more challenging the external circumstances, the more opportunity you have to reach the purpose of life. If you have no challenges, then you're not going to reach the purpose of life. You only reach the purpose by overcoming your challenges. Ezehu Gibor, who is a master, who is a strong one. Hakoveshit Yitzro, a person who corrects his character traits, who does that. So fine. So that's number one purpose. So number two purpose of life, we said, is to improve the world. And we spoke about this. You want to be a giver, not a taker. How much are you improving the world around you? Are you a mensch? Are you the sort of person who walks into the room and makes people feel good about themselves? Or are you the sort of person who walks into the room and everyone's like, oh no, they're there, they're here, I'm going to have to defend myself or tease them, or they're going to complain about something? Or you don't want to be that person. You want to be bringing light into the world. And focus on that. Focus, that's all. So we say it doesn't matter what you do. You can be an accountant, you can be a lawyer, you can be a street cleaner, you can be a tennis player, you can be whatever you like. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It matters who you're being whilst you're doing it. Are you being a mensch? You can be an accountant who goes into work and uplifts everyone around you and checks in how you're doing, how can I help you, and you have integrity. And you can be a rabbi and be horrible. So it's not about what you're doing. It's about who you're being whilst you're doing it. But you have to develop that. You have to develop yourself as a human being. And that, by the way, is going to take some self-control. Self-control, which means I'm going to choose what I think and I say and I feel. I'm not just going to do what feels natural to me necessarily. I'm going to override my negative nature. I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to always choose to do, I want to do the right thing. And by the way, it's not easy to know what that is all the time. So in that case, you should have self-awareness or have a mentor. But if it's the choice of two basically good things, should I be a preschool teacher or a nurse? Well, it doesn't really matter. They're both okay. Do either. Right? But help people. Do something to help people. Be that person who you want to be there for people. Improving yourself, improving the world. That is what you're created for. And you all know this, by the way, because when someone dies, what do you say about them? Do you say about how good their golf swing was, or you say what a mensch they were? They were a good person and they helped me. I remember how much they helped me. It's not, I remember how fast he drove his car or how good he was at basketball. No one cares about that. You know intrinsically that this is the purpose of life. Everyone says it. So now you have something to live for, and there's never an opportunity not to do that. So now let's talk about meaning, because you want to live a meaningful life as well. And I speak to many people, no meaning in their life whatsoever. Speak to American college kids. Tell me about your day. What do you do? I get up at 11. I smoke weed. I go to a few classes that I hate. Go to the gym. Go out at night. Try and get drunk and pick someone up. Go back to bed. Same process. Completely meaningless lives. It's impossible to be happy if you're living a meaningless life. It really is. So how do you what makes something meaningful? So let's go back to our businessmen and our sportsmen. If your goal is to sell cars and become a millionaire, is watching Netflix for 3 hours a day meaningful? They're not meaningful. It's a waste of time. It's not getting you towards your goal. If you want to be a gold medal Olympic Games winner, is going out and getting wasted with your friends meaningful? It's not meaningful. In fact, it's the opposite. is damaging your chances. So meaningful means to the extent that it's tapping you into your goal, it's called meaningful. If it's tapping you into your goal, it's meaningful. If it's not meaningful. So how much of your life do you do meaningful things? Well, if you don't have a goal in life, then never. Even if you do have a goal, let's say your goal in life is to improve yourself and improve the world. How much of what you do during the day is tapping into that? I'm just going to tell you now that any watching video games, any eating, any sleeping, any just watching Netflix, that's not meaningful. By the way, there is room for that. You have to sleep, so you should sleep. But to the extent that you need to sleep in order to live, a somewhat healthy life, you should eat what you need to eat. You should watch football with your friends once in a while and have a beer. 100%, because you need to chill out. So chilling out becomes meaningful if you do it in the right amount, because you need to get back on because you're going somewhere. If you're literally just spending hours and hours and hours, and your topic of conversation is this TV program Friends, that shows how old I am. I can't think of a TV program nowadays, but whatever. That's meaningless. Friends is meaningless. It's meaningful to the extent that it makes you laugh for half an hour so you can relax because you've got to work hard for your exams. I accept that. That's great. But to watch that, and that's your conversation, that's what you're thinking about. I remember I used to, for a break, I used to watch UFC, Ultimate Fighting. And there's a guy, Conor McGregor, and he was from Ireland, basically probably the best martial artist ever, whatever. And I used to watch like 5 minutes, the best head kick knockouts and stuff. And for me, because I'm a martial artist, it wasn't just men, like half-naked men punching each other in the face. I actually saw the art form behind it, behind the half-naked men punching themselves in the face. But I went to bed one night. I had a busy day, and I got into bed, and I was just thinking how much I hate Conor McGregor. He's so arrogant, and suddenly I thought to myself, why is this what's going on in my mind? What's this got to do with anything? It's not getting me where I need to go. And I said at that point, I'm not going to watch UFC anymore. It's not helping me. So now I watch like the best tries. I like that. I like try. I think rugby is the best sport ever. I watch the best tries for 5 minutes once in a while because I need to chill out, and that's healthy. So you've got to get your balance. I don't think there's anything wrong with watching Netflix for 3 hours a day. It's just once you're living a deeply meaningful life, when do you have time for watching Netflix for 3 hours? What am I going to not do? Not spend quality time with my family, not meditate, not do exercise, not learn Torah, not teach Torah. I'm doing meaningful things which give me so much vitality. And by the way, once you're living a deeply meaningful, vital life, things like sleep, you don't want it. I don't want to sleep. People say to me, I sleep so much, I want to sleep less. I'm like, well, love life more. If you love life more, then you don't want to sleep. You're going to sleep less. This is it. How much are you loving life? Now, you can only love life if you're living a meaningful life, which is taking you towards success. And now we've identified what that means. It means improving yourself and improving the world. So how much of your time is spent on doing that? These are your top values in life. The top values in life are growth and contribution. So think about your day today. What did you do today? And you can break it down. How many minutes of consciously improving yourself and consciously improving the world did you have? Don't have to say that publicly, but just think about it for yourself. Well, I was busy, I had to do this, and I had to run errands, and I had to, right? So you just got to work it out. But you want to shift the percentage here. You want to shift the percentage to, and by the way, you can make this your consciousness. You can do your job. What do you want from me? I have to do my job. Okay, do your job. But make sure you're doing it with integrity. And make sure you're not getting upset, and you're doing it with a good attitude. Nothing has to be separate from this. So, an example, how about this? Michael Jordan, best basketball player ever. And I'm glad I'm talking to you, because if it was an American group, people would be like, no, LeBron James, Rabbi, what do you know? LeBron, he took them from the bottom of the league to the, okay, whatever. LeBron James, Michael Jordan. They're very good at bouncing a ball, throwing anything. Did Kobe Bryant, it's too soon. Did Michael Jordan live a successful life? Did he live a successful life, Michael Jordan? Actually, I want to open this up. Michael Jordan, the best at the sport ever, with a little bit of debate, extremely rich from being the best basketball player ever in the history. Did he have a successful life? Yes or no? Give me a thumbs up if you say yes. I can't really see what anyone's doing, but I'm kind of assuming you're still there and listening to me. And if you're not, Rabbi Ziskin is. Hopefully he's getting something out of it. Thanks. So did Michael Jordan live a successful life? Has he lived a successful life so far? Ziv, yes or no? Yes, Michael Jordan. Kyla, Michael Jordan, successful life. Who? And put in your chat, anyone else. Michael Jordan, successful life. Yes or no? Go. You got 10 seconds. Just write yes or no. It's okay. I'm not going to judge you. Ben, yes. Anyone else? Yep. Chama, yep. 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 Oh, but not meaningful. So Kyla, could it be successful if it wasn't meaningful? Okay, I'm going to give my answer. Here's my answer. I'm glad we had this example. Yes, he achieved the goals he set out for himself. Okay, so here we go. If the purpose of life is to be very, very excellent at bouncing an orange ball and throwing it into a hoop and making lots of money doing that, then he lived a successful life. We've defined success as reaching the purpose of life. We defined the purpose of life as improving yourself and improving the world. To the extent that Michael Jordan improved himself, and that doesn't mean how good he was at basketball, improved himself, his character traits, and improved the world, he had a successful life. So we know, we can't answer the question based on how good he was at basketball or how much money he made, because that's not the point of life. He had success in life. Okay, that I admit, he had success in life. But did he have a successful life? It depends. It depends on how much of a mensch he was. Tiger Woods, successful life? I don't know. Cheated on his wife. I don't call that a successful life. He was very good at hitting a little white ball into a hole in the grass, and he made lots of money. That's not successful, because that's not the point of life. Do you hear me? Do you hear what I'm saying here? So Michael Jordan's going to die. He's going to go to heaven. Hashem's going to go, Michael, what did you achieve? Michael's going to be like, what do you mean what I achieved? I like hit 1,000 3-pointers from downtown, spinning Michael Air Jordan pump trainers, got a villa in Beverly Hills, a mansion in Hawaii. What do you, Hashem would be like, okay, but I gave you all of that, you know? I gave you the opportunity to train. I gave you not injuries. I gave you your discipline to train. I gave you the money. And Michael be like, well, I had a nice house. And Hashem would be like, okay, but that's not the point of life. And Michael would be like, I used lots of my wealth to empower inner city kids to find their passion in life through basketball. Hashem's going to be like, okay, Michael, now you're talking. Now that you've used your billions of dollars to set up orphanages and doing, now I'll give you credit for that, because the purpose of life is to improve yourself and improve the world. To the extent that you improved yourself and improved the world, you had a successful life. But just because you're very good at bouncing a ball, that's not called success. It's not called success. And it's not called success. And it's definitely not meaningful. It's so deeply meaningful that he's good at throwing a ball. So I was walking through Ben Yehuda Street once, before you were born, children. And there was a big crowd. So I pushed my way up to the front of the crowd. I'm quite Israeli when I want to be. And I saw there was a guy playing yo-yo. He was the yo-yo guy. And he was unbelievable, double yo-yo action. And someone said to me, he is the second best yo-yo guy in the world. I was like, nah. They go, look him up. This is his name. I looked him up then and there. And sure enough, Jewish guy from Argentina, I think. Second best yo-yo guy in the world. And it's sick what a human being can do with the yo-yo. You won't believe it. Double, walk the dog, cradle, up your body. So I watched this for about 3 minutes. And I walked away and I thought to myself, what a complete waste of your life. 500,000 hours so you could be good at yo-yo? What a waste, and you're only the second best in the world? What a waste of your life. What have you done? That's not what life's about. Are you a mensch? Are you a mensch? Now, if he uses his yo-yo skills to empower inner city kids to find their passion in life, now all of his 500,000 hours of yo-yo is worthwhile. If he uses his yo-yo skills to pick up women and manipulate them, he's not successful. It's not meaningful. It's a waste of your time. Yo-yo. Yo-yo boy. So you're wasting your life? Well, it depends. If you're tapping into becoming a good person and helping other people, you're not wasting your life. You're living a meaningful, amazing, good life. Once again, you should have hobbies. Go and do yo-yo. But don't commit yourself to being the best yo-yo person in the world. Do yo-yo because it helps you chill out at the end of the day of improving yourself and improving the world. I want you to play tennis. I want you to go to the gym. I want you to watch programs once in a while, but just because you need a bit of downtime so that you can carry on improving yourself, improving the world. So this is it. This is the key to real success in life. Success means have the right values and live up to them. The right values are growth and contribution. And then do it. Do those things. Now, many people have the right values, but they don't live up to them. What do you value more, your health or social media? My health, Rabbi. Okay, so what are you more conscious of? What you're putting into your mouth, what you're eating, how much exercise, or how many people like your Facebook post? Don't judge me, Rabbi. I look up health things on social media. Okay, I hear that. Thank you. What do you value more, your friends or your family? A family. Okay, so who do you spend more time with? Who do you speak to more? Who are you investing in more? You know, you got to have the right values. What's more important? What do you value more? Being good or looking good? You value being good or looking good? So everyone, I value being good. Okay, so what do you spend more time on? Being good or looking good? Looking good, your hair and your makeup and your clothes and your car and your stuff. Have the right values, which is growth and contribution, and have the discipline to live up to those values. And it's easy, but it's hard. It's hard. Just kind of the final point, which is the right decision to make? If you're in bed and the alarm goes off early, what's the right thing to do? Go for a run or stay in bed? Now the answer is whichever is going to make me a better person and help me improve the world more. So, and unfortunately, I'm sorry to say this, but the answer is almost always the one that takes more effort. Ooh, I said it. It takes effort. You're not going to become immense. You're not going to grow without putting in effort. Achievement means I put in effort and I overcame something. But if you're going to get out of bed early to go for a run, but that means you're going to be grouchy with your wife and shout at her later, then probably stay in bed is a better option. So you've already got to be asking yourself, which of these options, and once again, it's not always clear. Preschool teacher or a nurse, not so clear, so either's fine. So this is, in summary, today's class is if you want to live a life of vitality and depth and joy, be living for something. Have a goal in mind and be living for the right thing. And the right thing is become a mensch, become the best person you can, and help other people do the same thing. And make sure you're spending the majority of your time working on those things. And it's so beautiful because it's completely internal, got nothing to do with the world and how successful your business was. It's got to do with your own self and your attitude to life. Questions? So by the way, just a quick, one more check-in. Who thinks that Michael Jordan has lived a successful life? Chat, please. You're allowed to change your answers, okay. So your answer is, well, Rabbi, it depends on how much he improved his character traits and changed the world. Not because he reached his goals. My goals are beating up old women and stealing their money. I didn't live a successful life if I did that really well. Thank you for letting me share that, by the way. I've actually overcome that. And I don't beat them up anymore. I just take their money. That's a step in the right direction. So good. I see that everyone on the chat is saying, yeah, I see that Michael Jordan hasn't lived a successful life. Well, he has, depending on how much you grow. But Yofi, thanks for
Rabbi,
letting
can
me.
I ask a question?
Oh, God, I love questions. Please.
How does a person figure out or define like what their personal goal is? Like if
Okay,
you're not totally sure what direction you should be going in.
Okay. So personally for yourself, your personal goal is not what my career should be. Your personal goal is, how do I improve myself? So you know for your own self, what are your negative character traits that you need to work on, and what are positive character traits you need to develop. But in terms of the second thing is, how can I affect the world most? I worked out there are two main things, because there's so many issues in the world, and they're kind of opposite things, but they'll take you to there. Anything that you were privileged in, anything that you had a privilege in your life, that should become a responsibility to help other people. So I always worked in orphanages when I lived in Asia. Why? Because I had an amazing childhood. So I had this huge privileged childhood. Some people, when we go to orphanages, they feel guilty that they had a privileged childhood. I don't feel guilty. It's not my fault. I didn't do anything wrong, but I felt responsible. So take your privilege and try and share that with others. The other thing that you might be your personal purpose in this realm is, what difficulties and abuse and suffering did you have? And therefore, how can you help others because you understand them more? So the best person to set up an anti-bullying organization is someone who was bullied at school. The best person to help someone who's an alcoholic is someone who overcame alcoholism. So I believe the answer to your question is, what was your privilege or what was your suffering? And use those things as an impetus to help other people.
Thank you. Great answer.
Thank God. Anyone else? Great. You can reach me at deep@edge.com.
I want to thank you on behalf of everybody. I think you've given people great concepts to think about, and more than to think about, to try and apply. I assume you'll have some assignment for this as well that you'll send out.
Sure.
There will be a few weeks before we get together, Rabbi Cohen, again with a new topic, new exciting topic about growth and development, and we'll launch that and we'll let you know what it is as soon as we can. In the meantime, I do suggest, and I'm sure Dov Baird suggested just as strongly, do work on this material. It's nice to hear ideas that make sense and that resonate and we sense the meaningfulness in it, but it's so much nicer to work on it where you make it real and you change your life as a result of it. So that's really what it's about. So really try and take advantage of the assignments. I think we have all of them recorded as well. If you don't remember, please be in touch with me. I'm happy to send it out. Do use the group to let people know that you're doing it. I think it does cheer people on and root people on and remind people. I think that's great. Next week, we hope to launch something that'll be really fun on Zoom. And the following few weeks, we'll have Rabbi Jamie Callan and his wife Ilana. They're really great. Yay! And we'll be talking about dating and the deeper look at dating and relationships. And then we're looking forward to coming back with Dov Baird just after that. So everybody have a power week. Do the assignments. Rabbi Cohen, thank you so much. We'll be in touch personally and plan the chart, the course ahead. And everybody do the work, please. Do the work. Thank you for coming.
Yeah. Thank you. Shabbos.
Good Shabbos. About 30.